Business is booming, but you know what really helped? Xero, the accounting platform for small businesses. I used to think unpaid bills were just part of it. Ugh. But batch payments? Wow. Automated accounts payable? Even better. All in one place. That's a big one. And I can keep track from my phone while I get the job done. No bills in sight. What a life. Do right by yourself and your business and search Xero for your free trial. Conditions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Blowing ad budget on metrics that look great till the CFO sees them. That's bull spend. And marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
I remember telling my boss, it'll be good for the brand, when leads were slow. Yeah, it wasn't.
Cut the bull spend. LinkedIn lets you target by company, job title, and more. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome, everybody, to Tech Magic, the podcast where we talk about everything new in the world of immersive technology, artificial intelligence, VR, AR, anything interactive, and gaming, and everything in between. My name is Lee Keebler. I am joined by my guest co-host, Adam Davis McGee, who you are all familiar with. And you are also wondering, well, then where's Cathy? And I can explain this time. I actually know where she is. She is celebrating her birthday. So happy birthday, Cathy. And she is at the Miami Grand Prix. She did want to send us one quick message. So Cathy, take it away.
Hello, Lee and Adam and listeners of Tech Magic. Cathy Hackle here. I have been celebrating my birthday in Miami at the Miami Grand Prix. It has been a very exciting moment. I do want to send a quick hello to everyone and also share some exciting news. So I've always been fascinated by companies that have strong culture, like the strong cultures of innovation. And, and as a futurist, also companies that are researching cutting edge technologies for the future. I'm really interested, obviously, in artificial intelligence and new models and new architectures, as well as sensing and quantum computing, something that I'm really interested in as well, and space tech. As you guys know, I've talked about space technology for a while here on the pod, so super excited. So I am happy to share some exciting news. I'm actually going to be taking on a fun little role that I'm going to be doing for Nokia as their futurist in residence over the next couple of months. And this partnership with Nokia is going to allow me to get placed at the heart of Nokia's mission to redefine what's possible across quantum technologies, space and innovation, sensing, and AI. As you guys know, Nokia is a business-to-business leader. I actually got to host, as you guys know, the Nokia Bell Labs Centennial, and recently got an amazing behind-the-scenes tour of Nokia Bell Labs as well. So I'm really, really excited to be partnering with them to do some really amazing things. I'm going to be learning directly from the research team, exploring all the way they're using emerging technologies in this moment of tech convergence, and looking at what this all means for the future. A lot of you guys know that in Bell Labs, Transistor was created. A lot of different inventions that we use today that allow us to have the jobs that we have today were created there. So this is such a fun role that I'm going to be doing in partnership with Nokia as their futurist in residence. So yeah, I'll be giving you guys behind the scenes glimpses at what they're doing. I'm going to be putting out some amazing content with them as well. And yeah, I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled to be learning from everyone at Nokia Bell Labs and at Nokia about the award-winning research that they're doing, the innovations that they continue to do. And really, one of the things that I want to learn more about and I want to bring to you guys is also how companies like Nokia through Nokia Bell Labs are helping solve human needs using the power of human intellect. I feel like they have always given the world many amazing inventions, and they continue to create new solutions using these emerging technologies and transforming our lives. I mean, really, they have transformed our lives. So wanted to share that with you guys because I'm very excited about it. I continue to do my external senior advisorship with BCG and continue to do my speaking and my books, but I will be doing some amazing work as a futurist in residence with Nokia. And, I've been very excited to be visiting and become friends with the folks at Nokia Bell Labs. So just happy to share that. I'm off to New York for a couple of days, then back. I'll be back next Monday. And next Monday, I can't wait to tell you guys everything I've been doing and the fun, awesome trips I have lined up in the future. So sorry to miss everyone. I was just excited. I wanted to say hi. I'm off to celebrate my birthday with my family after an amazing weekend at the Miami Grand Prix. So Lee and Adam, I know you guys will have an amazing show. Yeah, and I guess you have to keep playing Where in the World is Cathy?
Well, thanks, Cathy, and happy birthday once again. Enjoy your week. I am joined with Adam Davis McGee, who is a great friend of mine, a technologist in his own right, creative producer, videographer, storyteller, all around nice gentleman, father, husband, and all the other good things. Adam, how are you?
I am exhausted just listening to that list of things. Or maybe because of most of the things on that
I'm doing
list.
too much.
No, I'm doing all right. It's been great. Also, happy birthday to Cathy. I hope you're enjoying Miami. And we are we're doing well. Always happy to be back and hanging out with y'all.
Yes. And so we've got a lot going on this week. Surprisingly, or not surprisingly, almost all of it is focused around artificial intelligence and AI. And not all of it is just like so happy-go-lucky. We got a lot to cover here. Buckle up. It's probably going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride. There's just a ton going on. First, I'm not going to start with the AI stuff. I'm going to dive right into the gaming thing. You know, it's not about Nintendo. Everyone is probably sick and tired of me talking about the Nintendo Switch and being excited about the new Nintendo. It is not. It is Grand Theft Auto. We've talked about this in the past because weirdly enough, Grand Theft Auto does have a strange on again, off again, will they, won't they with virtual reality. So for those who don't know, a lot of us from the VR space are still waiting to figure out what's going on with San Andreas, which is like a version of Grand Theft Auto that came out when I was like in college. So super like, is that retro? That's vintage at this point, right? Like, I think it is.
Yeah, it's a little retro vintage slightly, yeah.
So we do kind of weirdly enough kind of cover this particular topic on the show, mostly because it's almost like, they say in like Las Vegas, you can bet on anything. Like people bet on politics and they bet on what side of a buttered piece of toast it's going to land on practically. Grand Theft Auto was supposed to launch 2025 this year. They showed, I think a year ago, one heck of a demo. The trailer came out for it. It stirred up a ton of legal mumbo jumbo because a lot of the content from the trailer and what's going to evidently be in the game is lifted from real news headlines, or at least like interpreted from real news headlines that came out of Florida, because this one takes place in Florida. Okay, so first and foremost,
Florida in parentheses.
It's a fictional part of Florida. And I can say I'm from Florida. So yeah, watching the trailer, I'm like, oh yeah.
Did it feel like home? Did it feel like you were watching home?
In a very weird roundabout way.
You were like, yeah, I recognize the crime and blood and oh yeah, that those flamingos, those plastic flamingos.
There's the flamingo. Yeah, it was a wild trailer. Anyways, to jump to the conclusion of here, I've always, and Cathy and I have had to go back and forth going on in our Slack channel about this. I never thought in a million years we were going to see Grand Theft Auto actually come out on time, because I don't think it's ever happened in like the last decade, maybe 15 years. And I was right. It looks like it's pushed all the way back to May 26th, 2026.
What's one more year,
Yeah.
13 now? It was 12 now, going on 13. You got a whole teenager there.
Yeah, in Florida, that kid would probably drive. No.
Definitely he could definitely get across the water.
It is a long time coming. So yeah, Grand Theft Auto fans, you are going to have to wait. Well, actually, that's not my only gaming news. There is a second piece of gaming news. This one, a little bit more directed towards our listeners. For those who've been following like the advertisement and world building, brand building in Roblox. You're probably very familiar with a company called Supersocial. Supersocial does a lot of the brand integrations inside of Roblox. And it looks like they were just acquired by Super League. So Super League has bought Supersocial. So Super League's a metaverse production company. It does kind of the same thing where there's a lot of these organizations. In fact, Adam, you and I worked at Journey, which did a lot of this similar type of work. We bring brands into the Roblox platform or other platforms similar to it, like Fortnite, for example. But in this particular case, it does look like Super League has purchased Supersocial, which will now consolidate those teams together and really probably bring a strong focus. We might see another major push of brands going into these platforms. Supersocial's always done a really great job. I've got like a short list of like companies that I'm always kind of keeping an eye on when it comes to these Roblox integrations. Supersocial's definitely on there. So when we saw that, definitely wanted to bring that up in our gaming section.
Do we know if it was a super big bag that was a Super League acquired for it?
So normally when these companies acquire each other, unless they're like massive and have to announce it, no, we do not know what the acquisition target was for that. But it wasn't nothing.
Trying to get your exit valuation done. You have to wait, I guess.
I'm just excited to kind of see these two kind of team up and see what they're able to do. They've both done this type of work in the past and have done great work. So I think that it'll only be a little bit better. Now, to continue on with this really has less to do with Roblox, but more to do with a conversation that Cathy and I were having last week, specifically about chatbots and AI that was being experimented with. And this happened more on like the meta side of it. It kind of went awry a little bit as people were able to get some of the celebrity voices under Meta's AI to say some pretty gnarly things, especially to minors. Now this has kind of opened up the floodgates of this conversation, which I think is a conversation definitely worth having. But now there's a massive concern about AI companion chatbots, which is a business opportunity many people are looking into, but it's probably not currently safe for children.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, I know. Shock. Awe. I can't believe it. So the studies found that chatbots can provide inappropriate content, and really there's just like no safeguards when talking to young users. Not only does this cause for a discussion about stricter regulations and how you can like put in place oversight when it comes to these technologies, but it does highlight something that I've been trying to say to a lot of companies who have just been looking at AI as a solution for replacing support staff, because that is very much where people went first and foremost. As soon as the AI is conversational, the company, by and large, loses control of the dynamic of the conversation, right? Because when we first started talking to chatbots, let's remove the conversation about AI for a moment. And I think we all recognized when we were talking to a chatbot on our banking app, when we're like, oh, I need a prompt. Amazon was notorious for this. You'd open up a chat and you'd have to talk it into letting you talk to a person, right? But it was a decision tree. It was a very controlled decision tree. Oh, you want help for this? Do any of these help you? No? Okay, how about any of these? And you would work through this controlled decision tree until it finally would give up and actually connect you with a human being. Now, I'm not saying that's a good application. I think we've all been frustrated by it, but it was controlled by the company. The second we allow any chatbot to be controlled by AI, that control slips away. And I've not seen, and maybe you know more than I do, maybe not. I don't know of a scenario where that has been corralled correctly in a sense to where it can't be talked out of as an AI into having a completely different conversation.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's especially when you're factoring in minors, absolutely not. I mean, we're still very, very, very early on that.
It's funny the things I can't convince like ChatGPT to do, because they've really locked down a lot of their like intellectual property. I cannot ask it to generate a picture of Mario, right? Because that is a controlled piece of intellectual property. And I have argued with it, trying to get it to over that threshold to the point where like the workaround used to be describe Mario in excruciating detail without using his name. And then it would describe what Mario looked like. And then you take that description, say, make an image based off of this. And as long as you didn't put the word Mario in it, it would basically spit out a picture of Nintendo's Mario. right? Like that was the way it used to work. Even that doesn't work anymore. So the part that has been legally threatening, I think the most, has started to become addressed. But this hasn't. And to me, this seems genuinely more threatening than anything else. I'm surprised. I'm genuinely surprised that we don't have proper safeguards in place already.
I mean, I'm not surprised that we don't, because let's just be honest, these companies are allowed to roll out tech and not have guardrails, just plain and simple. But I definitely hope, and I think that especially a company like Roblox or any of these other platforms.
Well, I think this is why Roblox hasn't openly put in AI chatbots. I know people who have found like ways to do it, and they got to basically do an API call outside of the engine, but it's not built into Roblox. I like Roblox's approach to AI. They're doing generative AI for like 3D models. That's super cool.
That's cool to help build the world. But when it comes to the conversations, like actual chatbot conversations, yeah, those that especially that are in some of the reports and that they're sharing. I mean, there's sexual misconduct, stereotypes, dangerous advice. I mean, there has been a report of a suicide already from a minor. Like these are very, very serious, life-threatening, deadly real world impact for teens.
Even when Google first came out with Gemini, it got slammed hard because it had a diversity issue. And I think Google did the right thing. They just took it offline and said, okay, until we can figure out why our AI refuses to understand contextual diversity, we're going to have to take this offline. And they did until they were able to address it. I don't see many companies taking the offline approach right now, but they did. I have to give them credit where it's due. And maybe that puts Gemini a couple of steps behind, but at least the approach to like, oh, shoot, it shouldn't probably do that. Take it offline until we figure it out.
And we do want to just, I would want to just acknowledge some of the folks on the front lines. There are a few senators out there, some of the, obviously, parents, different people that have already been impacted by some of these scenarios of inappropriate engagements with chatbots. They're on the front lines trying to really make sure that safety practices and youth-specific safety practices are being put in place. So shout out to the folks that are on the front lines doing that.
There are, and that's a good segue into one of our next stories so there is a bill that is advancing through the U.S. Congress. It's legislation to criminalize the creation and distribution of deepfake pornography, particularly targeting non-consensual content. This is big because, duh. This should have never been a conversation.
Right. I mean, but it's also it's also one of the things, I don't know who said it, but there's an old saying that like whenever humans invent a new technology or we have an innovation, the first thing that we do is we have intercourse with it.
Yeah, I mean, no, there's a lot of truth to that. As crazy and dark as that seems, it is a strange habit, and why this is the direction technology goes, humanity. But the fact that we now need this legislation, and the fact that this legislation is actually going forward. Right now, a lot of legislation is stalled out pretty hard. So this, I'm hoping we can see not only bipartisan support, but a very swift passage, because it's a real issue that could potentially affect all of us. I know that there have been horrific horror stories about deepfakes that have been created and people in high school having them passed around of like underage students and coworkers and things like this. It's just like, this is not what the technology was ever meant for. I guess out of logic, we probably could have leapt to the conclusion that this is where it was going, but it also calls into question, and Cathy and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Yes, I agree that the perpetrator needs to face legal consequences. We can just hang that over here on a shelf. But at what point do you hold legal responsibility to the AI model that is creating the output? This came up in our conversation when this very topic of like deepfakes and getting created and put out and distributed of like illegal content. You can have the whole conversation of if it is AI, is it actually the person? I get that legal debate is coming. It seems like it shouldn't, and this is a logical answer that's already been answered by people's likeness and laws around likeness, but we like to argue as a species, so we will. But on top of that, what I'm not hearing a lot of conversation about is holding the actual model and the people who are in control of the model legally responsible for the output that it is creating. Because if this content was also created off of explicit illegal content, that model has ingested it somehow. And not knowing, this is the argument where people are like, well, we don't know where the data came from. Bullcrap. Just show your work. Where is this coming from?
That's a really good point. And it is going to be one for debate and conversation. Another kind of branch to that is these models, or the companies that are making these models, are even advertising some of the mainstream social networks, but they're violating those platforms' rules as an image generation tool.
I agree. I've seen that.
So like now you have multiple layers of accountability.
And let me break that down. What you're talking about, at least what I've seen, is I follow a bunch of AI models on social media, and the images that they post, not that they're explicit, but they're obviously pulled from like copywritten material. They're intellectual property materials that their model should not be able to regenerate. So when those things get posted by the actual model itself and then promoted as an advertisement, it brings into question of like, is anyone actually taking this seriously? Here's the wildest one. This is the wildest to me. I think this is probably looks like the most boring article in our show rundown, but I think it's very interesting. It's just totally as a nerd. But there is currently a U.S. judicial panel that is proposing to regulate AI-generated evidence. Now, I had to think about this long and hard about what this means. Because initially I was like, well, how do you AI generate evidence? If it's evidence, it can't be generated. It just is.
Oh, but it can.
Well, and so immediately I thought, well, if someone generates evidence utilizing AI and it's proven to not be real, then immediately it would probably call for at least someone to look into it, let alone a dismissal. But I don't think that's what it's talking about here. It's actually talking about taking evidence to a scientific approach, right? Of if I ask logically, if I'm talking to, like, say, ChatGPT or any one of these Geminis or one of these AIs, okay, this and this had to have occurred for this to happen. Let's say a man stole a television and 3 bicycles out of a store in the matter of 2.5 minutes. Well, how much does your average bicycle weigh? How much does an average television weigh? If I ask ChatGPT, based on this data, could this have actually happened? And it spits out a mathematical equation and says, based on averages, blah, 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 this would not have been able to happen. And it makes a legal argument, or at least a logical argument, that this isn't actually able to occur. And then it can put that into some form of a brief. Now there's a question of, like, that's AI generated evidence. It's an AI generated argument. Is that going to be allowed, or does it need to be called out in court? And this is a conversation that just started. So it's very interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost kind of what I hear you saying. And I think with what I'm gathering from the results, from the reports rather, is kind of how a Gen AI tool can meet some of the same reliability standards as a human expert witness, and what that would look like. And what you just described is, obviously we would lean on an expert of some kind to make that assessment or lead that inquiry of scientific processes, if you will. And we rely on so many different types of expert witnesses in court for that. And I know that for sure because I've seen Law and Order. You know, I watched that. That's my...
Dun dun.
And whenever they call up those expert witnesses to the stand. But now maybe ChatGPT or a new type of model will be the new type of expert witness. I think we will absolutely see that AI generated evidence become adopted more.
I'm sorry, but the Carnegie Mellon Institute and the University of Michigan and the Allen Institute for AI would disagree with you currently.
No, currently, put the guardrails on, as we were talking about with a lot of these AI, like right now, that is making conservative judgments, sweeping conservative judgments is really in our favor right now. as a species for a number of different things. But that is also a catch-22 because of like what we were just talking about. How do we get ahead of the revenge porn? Like, how do we get ahead of this whack-a-mole game? It's tough.
Yeah, it is super strange. So those three institutes that I just mentioned, their study, and I agree, I have not read their white paper. I'm just reading the article. But from my experience, I'm kind of like, yeah, I think that's about right. So take that with a grain of salt. But Carnegie Mellon, University of Michigan, Allen Institute for AI, they've all come to the conclusion that AI models often at a 50% rate or less than 50% rate will prioritize achieving their objectives over being truthful. So there's a scenario with these AIs where they'll tell you what you want to hear, whether it's true or not. And I run into this a lot where I'm just like, you're lying to me. I've told ChatGPT, I've told Gemini, I've told these language models, no, you're lying. And then it will apologize and be like, oh, I see that you're correct. Yes, what you're really looking for is blah, 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 blah. And originally, I thought this was prioritizing more important queries for like processing, so it just wasn't putting in the work. And I think that was true in the early days, like if you were to go back a year and a half ago. But today there's so much context that these AIs a year later have, like searchability of the web and being able to like look at images and video and give you context based on that information. So it's striking that with the leaps that we've taken in 1 year even, that it's still lying to us half of the time.
Less than half the time, which I'll be honest, if you would ask me what percent do you think AIs are telling the truth, like, or lying? I mean, less than 50 that's a low number. I thought we at least would get, I'd be like, maybe 25% of the time it's lying, but like that's alarming to me. But I will say it does present an opportunity in my mind to really start setting new types of standards.
There are two AIs. One always tells the truth. The other always tells a lie. They end up in these weird story paradox.
Right. The fact that like how this ties into the court, like expert witness piece. I mean, you now will obviously have, and I think we had this conversation the last time I was hanging here with you on the podcast, the opportunity for new types of security, completely new types of certifications and securities that will be specific to, say, the judicial system. And maybe that's going to be a bit more of a walled garden than we really want to see. But I think right now we're still on the ground floor. We can fine tune those models, and we're looking at bringing that less than 50% up to, we'll get it to a 99.9% honesty and accountability model that can be used in the court of law.
Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bullspend. And marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bull spend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
This message is brought to you by Warner Brothers Discovery Advertising. And this is more than an ad. This is an invitation to be part of the stories the world can't stop watching, to connect with moments that dominate the conversation, to participate in culture, not just advertise around it. With the most sought-after IP, passionate audiences, and an advanced AI-powered foundation, WBD Advertising transforms attention into influence and impressions into outcomes. This is innovation. This is impact. This is opportunity. This is Warner Brothers Discovery Advertising. Visit advertising.wbd.com to learn more.
Business is booming. But you know what really helped? Xero, the accounting platform for small businesses. I used to think spreadsheets were just part of it. Ugh. But real-time cash flow? Wow. Invoices that chase themselves? Even better. Books that automate? That's a big one. And I can keep track from my phone while I get the job done. No spreadsheet in sight. What a life. Do right by yourself and your business and search XERO for your free trial. Conditions apply. Business is booming. But you know what really helped? Zero, the accounting platform for small businesses. I used to think unpaid bills were just part of it. Ugh. But batch payments? Wow. Automated accounts payable? Even better. All in one place. That's a big one. And I can keep track from my phone while I get the job done. No bills in sight. What a life. Do right by yourself and your business and search XERO for your free trial. Conditions apply.
So you and I, we both have a friend who is pretty big in the AI space right now, Mr. Will.i.am. And I watched an interview with him, and he said something that I thought was just genuinely, truly profound that I hadn't thought about deeply as he did. But I feel like that this is kind of proof of case. Whereas the AI models basically are pulling their data from the vast amount of information available on the internet that we have generated as human beings. And this is probably the reason why AI is so scary, because it is trained on some of the best and worst parts of humanity, which is reflected in the internet. And as you talk about the truthfulness, disparaging differences between AIs here, it strikes me that a lot of the internet is a lie, right? Like, a lot of, I would say, less than 50% of what's on the internet is truthful.
It's certainly partial lies and opinions and yeah, and also non-truths.
And so how can we possibly expect, when the data pool is already poisoned, how do you drink from a poisoned well?
Right. Very fair.
I need to go find this interview that Will did because it was spot on. I just sat there and was blown away that I'd never heard the argument made before of, like, if it's pulling from broken data, the output's going to be broken. It will highlight the worst of us if we keep putting out the worst part. And that's what you should be afraid of.
Maybe we'll be able to get a model that's able to filter. It'll get trained, enough insight on us as humans, as a species, and then be able to filter what the internet is versus like what quote unquote real life is.
And I just don't think that that's profitable enough to build until regulation demands it. And I feel like that is kind of where my flag in the ground is when it comes to why we need government regulation over the AI spaces. Who's going to build the safeguard rails when it doesn't truly behoove us financially, right? Now, let's really get you a little freaked out here because all of this is leading up to, well, how does it make money? And Visa thinks that they have an answer. So Visa wants to give artificial intelligence agents the capability to spend on your credit card. Now, I get what they're saying. Let's not just throw Visa in the deep end and say, no, this is horrible. I get it, but I don't know why you would announce something that is painfully not ready right now, but they do want to develop an AI-powered agent capable of making purchases on your behalf. Anyone who's a card holder, not anyone who's a card holder, I would assume that you have to sign up for this, aiming to streamline those purchases and transactions like renewing subscriptions, ordering groceries, booking travel, anything and everything in between. Amazon definitely tried to experiment with this and has had some success with those repurchasable items. And then I know that at one point they had that little button. I don't remember if you remember that a couple years ago, about 5, 6, 7 years ago. It was just like, it looked like a thumb drive with a big button on it and had a brand on it. And when you pushed it, it would just order you more paper towels, right?
Right. Tide. And like,
yeah, Tide was the one I think we all saw. And I do kind of understand that. Like, if I'm in my laundry room and I'm like, oh, I'm getting really low and I just have to push the button because I'm right there and that's just like on the wall and it just orders me new Tide.
Okay, but on your mobile device, a button like that, sure. But the fact that Amazon rolled out the physical real buttons to me was just, that looked like a cartoon.
But the Visa's saying, why have an app?
Yeah, just let the bots do it. Listen, I'm kind of here for it a little bit as someone who doesn't have the income to just allow for a bot to take over. I'm not in that position quite yet. I would, however, appreciate Visa to help. If you got a bot that's going to help invest my money and show me some returns, go for it. Give me that.
Well, I do think that we will see that.
Yeah, we're seeing a few things like that.
We're seeing a few things like that. I think that we're going to see some of the financial institutions lean in that direction just to make logical choices. But with that being said, I don't know if I'm ready to just give Visa the card and say, all right, Mr. Chatbot, just buy stuff for me. That seems little like that to me, that's how you end up with a gross of just toilet paper, which like before COVID, it was a good idea. But like, I'm just saying we don't need that now.
Yeah. And, over time, the agents will probably have autonomy to go spend X amount of budget, to get on your airline. Like you have like airline, family travel and all that. But still,
and that is a really like one of the key examples, right? Travel of like, okay, you're going to book this trip. You're going to go down to this area. While you're in this area, in this hotel, I'm also going to make sure that you have, when you land, I'm already going to call the Lyft and it'll follow all of these things. I get the
personal assistant
idea behind, the personal assistant AI agent conversation, right? As soon as I land, I don't have to think about getting a Lyft or an Uber. It just knows when I've gotten my baggage and I'm standing in the right area. It automatically puts me in that line and it knows where I'm going. I get it. We aren't there anytime soon, but I don't know if I'm ready to just like hand over the credit card. I'm just not quite there yet. It doesn't sound like Visa's right there yet, but it is what they are currently researching.
Can you imagine how the holidays are going to be?
Oh,
just madness. All the return. I'm sorry, sir. You said you wanted 10 Oculus Rifts. You wanted a Quest, for Christmas, 10 of them. You got them.
You said Quest 3. Here's 3 Quests.
Quests.
It's like, wait, hold on. You said you wanted the Nintendo Switch 2. I got you 2 Nintendo Switches. No.
There it is. There's your future holidays in a nutshell.
It was like, do you remember when like you'd ask for a present and like grandma would try to get you the right present, but it was never the right present?
It was never the right one.
Yeah, you just know Visa's going to just take over.
Oh, man. What were I forgot the games you were just talking about the last time, the knockoff kind of Game Boys that were really popular.
Oh, the Tiger Electronic games.
Electronics. Grandma, you wanted a Game Boy, but grandma got you Tiger Electronic.
I wanted Mega Man. This is like Mega Man. It's Big Man. It's like,
it's all good. We love you, Grandma.
So continuing on with this, there's just a lot of AI stuff going on and going into like the advertisement side of this. So Zuckerberg, speaking of AI agents, Zuckerberg came out this week and started talking about the idea of utilizing what would basically be an AI agent for them to reapproach advertising. This is it. I get it. This is brilliant. It is genuinely brilliant. Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying there's brilliance here that does need to be recognized because we're talking about altering the landscape of probably one of the largest, if not the largest institutions that this country has like perfected. And that is advertising. The advertising machine of the United States is absolutely bonkers and has been since like Coca-Cola was invented. And Facebook was the company that revolutionized advertising online.
They did. It's like part of me wants to say, well, Zuck, are you going to be barking up the wrong tree? But then I'm like, oh, wait, maybe you are the tree?
Yeah. I think that's how he sees it, right? Like, so for those who are unaware of the situation, it is as simple as this. If you are a company or a brand and you have a product that you want to advertise on a Meta platform, you choose your platform, you choose your budget, and you tell them what the product is, and then you go away. That's it. You're done. So you're not coming up with a campaign. You're not coming up with imaging. You're not coming up with product information. The AI then takes over and does the rest. Now, we are a ways away from this being like, because it sounds like weird advertisement science fiction when you talk about it like this. But if there was an institution that had enough advertising data to know what works, and you just said, hey, this is the thing that I'm doing. Here's the arguments it's making. Just go market this. And it creates all the content utilizing AI. The AI does all of the rest. It does all of the targeting. It does all of the comparisons and competition analysis. And it does all of it. You just pay Meta to do it. Oh, my word.
Yeah, it's a one-stop shop, and I don't like it being a one-stop shop. Like, I get that you could have an infinite amount of variations that their team could do, which of course will cost you. But right now, in the traditional sense, quote unquote, you wouldn't give them an infinite amount of options you would give them just a few, like one or two. But man, don't you just feel like it's going to be such a rinse and repeat? Like, it just feels like it's going to be so watered down. I don't know. I can't see it. It just doesn't feel like it has or maybe it'll be this. Maybe what Meta will start doing, they'll partner with agencies, other people outsourcing that have certain niches, certain specific specialties and fields.
I think they're making the argument that their AI will be so strong that it will find those niches.
That it'll do it. Yeah, I get that.
I think you are hitting on the right argument. The argument that I think you're making, correct me if I'm wrong. This is what I hear you saying, is it can't be creative. So it'll just make advertisements it knows will work, and then we'll tweak it till it makes the highest amount, highest impact. But it's still basing everything off of pre-existing data. So coming up with something fresh, new, and clever is never, under its current situation, is never really going to be something it's particularly good at.
And Zuckerberg specifically does use the word creative, like he says, there's still the creative piece, which is basically business, like they come to us, they have a sense of what the message is or what the video or image is, and that's pretty hard to produce. But he says like they think that they're pretty close to producing that creative. The advertising agency or the industry is built on that creative. Mad Men, Don Draper, whoever you want to say. Like there's so many great kind of real life creative ad titans out there. Years ago, I was commissioned by the 4As, the American Association of Advertising Agencies, to do a piece about diversity in advertising, the lack thereof. And it really gave me my first insight into the ad agency world and the business world, and just how, some of these brilliant minds come up with these incredible campaigns, like the rebranding of Gatorade and all this stuff. And there's a type of alchemy, there's some cooking that happens in the ad world that Meta as a whole, if they're taking on, the majority of that work moving forward, you're just going to miss out on the magic. And it's going to be felt in the campaign. It's not going to hit as hard. It's not going to translate as hard, I think.
Even as we look at like advertisements that have been super revolutionary or just iconic, like you've got Nike with the Just Do It. Apple had so many iconic advertisement campaigns. I personally thought the I'm a Mac, I'm a PC campaign in the early 2000s was brilliant, but going all the way back to the Think Different campaigns, I just don't know if, I think you're right. I don't think that the AI advertisement machine that Zuckerberg is talking about for Meta is positioned to do those type of campaigns. More so, it's like, hey, I invented this one single one-off product that I'm trying to like push on my own Amazon store, put this in front of the clientele that would probably buy this widget. That I see. Or like as an author, my book's coming out. This is what my book's about. Please go advertise it. Okay, well, it's just going to go and make those advertisements and I won't ever have to think about it. I don't have to like do any actual work for it. It can do the image generation and all of that. Like I can see that still rocking and rolling. Although I'm sure Meta would love to just take over the full campaign structure. I just don't know if the AI is going to be there anytime soon to do something that creative. But time will tell. Now, going into our very last article, as you wear your Meta glasses, your Meta Ray-Bans, have you checked your privacy settings?
I have not.
Okay, so
until I read this article,
until you read this article, right?
Yeah.
So Meta updated their privacy policy for their Meta Ray-Ban smart glasses, enabling the AI features by default. This changes how Meta is able to analyze your photos, your video, your voice recordings captured by the glasses, use it to train their own AI models. This is kind of considered a privacy concern. You might be fine with it. That's fine. I often know it's kind of like when we use the internet, we also know things are tracking. So that's how we're getting fed advertisement. I think by and large, society has just kind of accepted the reality that this is how the current internet works, whether you love it or hate it. But this was not something that used to be turned on by default. So now that there's been a privacy policy update, that in that update, they slipped in there that, we're just going to kick this on by default. So if you do not want to participate in that, you will have to go into your settings and turn it off.
Yeah, I mean, Meta's privacy notices on voice services for wearables, they save the voice recordings and transcripts for up to 1 year, but you'll have to manually delete each recording if you don't want Meta being trained on your voice.
Let me tell you, I remember having to delete stuff on Facebook and as I was migrating off of one platform onto another platform, and it's not easy to delete that stuff.
Especially when you've been using it for a while. If you're talking about a year's worth of stuff.
Yeah, we generate a lot of data. Just a single human can output a lot of information, a lot of data. Anyways, that I think is our show. Before we wrap up, Cathy and I always kind of have this tradition. I'm not going to do it this time. I want to know, are you reading something interesting? Are you listening to an album right now that you would suggest to other people? What do you got on your rotation when it comes to like media consumption?
Oh, media consumption. So a couple different things happening right now. I'm consuming less visual media on purpose to really make room for more reading, which is just important. My wife and I are trying to set an example to our kids of just reading and less screen time. We already don't let our kids use a screen during the school week, but I am reading this really great book called Resilience, which is it's a great book on child rearing. The audio consumption for me right now, I just got, I don't know if you do you use Spotify?
I don't use Spotify, and people are often surprised by that.
Okay, well, yeah, I wasn't sure. So Spotify just rolled out their beta AI DJ.
I hate everything you just said. I hate everything you just said with the most ridiculous passion you could ever imagine.
And I would share the same thing if you had said it. But I have it on my phone, on my app. My wife doesn't. So I got targeted with the beta rollout. Just used it for the first time this weekend. And I think I like how they're rolling it out. I'll say that. I will say my first impression is I like it. And I want to see how, where it goes. It's not doing much that it didn't, Spotify already had smart playlists.
So do you have to give it data? Like, do you have to give it information of what you're looking for and then it runs with it from there? Or is it just like, hey, we know you and based on you, this is what we would think you'd like?
It's that already.
Okay, so it's like playlists.
It's like a playlist, but they're adding obviously that voice.
Backup, they're adding a voice.
So the DJ, the AI DJ.
Oh, I hate everything about this. You waited to the end to get the cranky old man version of me because I don't like this.
It is the voice that is playing the role of the radio DJ. And it's giving you that little bit of, hey,
hey, Adam, so here's what we think you're going to like next. If you would check out the next Ariana Grande.
And it's a little bit of that with a hint. Ariana Grande made her debut in the summer of the 2010s. And here's that, here's that song that you like that you've been listening to a lot. And of course, I get a unique blend because we have kids. And the kids bop mix with the adult mix makes for so far a pretty funny DJ because he's giving me what the kids want and what I want. So
here's Kids Bop 2025 and up next, Wu-Tang.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm getting right now. And that's my life. So we'll see how it goes, man. For me, I tempted to give it a spin while I was getting ready. But then I'm also, for the month of May, I'm doing this really fun fitness challenge, #everyday-in-May. You're doing at least 30 minutes a day, running. But I'm just letting it be on cruise control while I'm going. And it does some pretty smooth transitions and blends.
Wait, it's blending the music too?
Not real blends, but like the soft fade transitions. But I think the blending, dude, when it can beat juggle and then add some really cool BPM, I think I'm here to see what it can do. I'm here to see what it can do. Because you know this about me, you and I both are DJs. I carried crates growing up and I DJ'd on wax. Man, I'm not here to replace the DJ. So just let that go on record.
No, I know.
Spotify is, and I'm paying the money. So I guess I'm part of the problem.
Wow. I mean, I guess I knew it was coming. It's just crazy that it has the voice and is tying it all together. It would be interesting if you could give it a specific target to AI generated playlist. Let me give you an example. Let's say I look at a map, pick any location of any city on a map and say, I am DJing a wedding at this location for a couple that is in this age bracket. And then see what type of automatic AI DJ, wedding mix it would put together. Because that would be wild. Just as someone who paid their way through college by DJing weddings and things like that, that's a hard gig.
Imagine being able to really offer your playlist data to your human DJ who's using an AI DJ, like all of that relationship. I think, Spotify might be ahead of the game with making that happen, and to enable and empower DJs, or maybe Serato might get ahead of it and have that. I don't know, but like you, I'm here for it.
We'll see. You can't stop it. People are going to do what they're going to do. It's just going to continue to roll on. Anyways, thanks for coming by, Adam. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Tech Magic, where we always invite you to come for the tech, stay for the magic. I'm Lee Keebler, here with Adam Davis McGee. Next week, Cathy Hackle will be back from her birthday trip to the Miami Grand Prix, and I'm sure we'll hear all about that. Special thanks, as always, to Adweek for bringing this show to you. If you enjoyed today's episode, leave us a review, leave us a comment. We want to know your thoughts. We'd love to connect with you. Just search for Tech Magic, Cathy Hackle, or me, Lee Keebler. You'll find us. Until next week, we'll be back.
Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bullspend, and marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bullspend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Business is booming. But you know what really helped? Zero. The accounting platform for small businesses. I used to think spreadsheets were just part of it. Ugh. But real-time cash flow? Wow. Invoices that chase themselves? Even better. Books that automate? That's a big one. And I can keep track from my phone while I get the job done. No spreadsheet in sight. What a life. Do right by yourself and your business and search XERO for your free trial. Conditions apply. Business is booming. But you know what really helped? Zero. The accounting platform for small businesses. I used to think unpaid bills were just part of it. Ugh. But batch payments? Wow. Automated accounts payable? Even better. All in one place. That's a big one. And I can keep track from my phone while I get the job done. No bills in sight. What a life. Do right by yourself and your business and search XERO for your free trial. Conditions apply.